Welcome back. The Justice Department's attempt to extradite the Gupta brothers from the United Arab Emirates has failed on a technicality, and the decision was taken in February. But the Justice Department was only informed about it this week. Atul and Rajesh Gupta are accused of being architects of state capture and of profiting from their close links with former President Jacob Zuma. Let's get further comment from Justice Ministry spokesperson Chrispin Phiri. Thank you so much, Chrispin, as always, for coming in to talk to us. So there's been a lot of disappointment from South Africans, a lot of scathing criticism from a number of analysts, legal analysts, putting the blame squarely either on the department, the NPA, Minister Lamola, Minister Naledi Pandor, and our officials in the UAE for not keeping on top of the processes. How is it that this court hearing could be concluded in Dubai on the 13th of February and we only find out about it now? Is that a failure on the part of our officials, our department, or a failure on the part of the Dubai courts to communicate?
One of the things that we have characterized this as a very dismal attempt at cooperation from the United Arab Emirates. And we say this not lightly. We say this because as of January this year, we followed up with the United Arab Emirates through our embassy in the United Arab Emirates, asking what is the latest update on our requests, because we had understood that we had complied with all of the requests, all of the requirements, and this matter is now going to court. In February as well, we did a follow-up again, and we did not receive a response. In March, we had another follow-up again, and we did not receive a response.
What did those follow-ups or that communication consist of?
So, diplomatic communications are done through what is called a note verbal, which is the highest level of communication between two states. And it goes through the diplomatic channel, which is the South African embassy in the United Arab Emirates receiving a communication through DIRCO. And it was essentially, we understand that we have fully complied with your requirements. Can you please provide us with an update as to when the court hearing will take place? And we were met with radio silence. And we say so in our statement. Up until March, we still had not had a reply from the United Arab Emirates.
How does the department interpret that radio silence? Because there can't just be, the United Arab Emirates has complied on extraditions with other countries. It's not like they've failed to meet their obligations in other instances. So in this instance, looking at the circumstances, why do you think that would be?
Well, I don't want to postulate a view as why there's been failed cooperation in this instance, and that's why we've actually requested a meeting with the United Arab Emirates to understand what has informed this complete lack of cooperation with the United Arab Emirates authorities. But quite clearly from our side, and I want to echo what the Director General said this morning, we may not have it known had we not actually followed up directly with the ambassador as of yesterday, because we only received the note verbal yesterday after the Minister of Justice actually called the ambassador of the United Arab Emirates in South Africa to ask him what exactly is happening. And lo and behold, we were told that, oh, we actually have a note verbal from the United Arab Emirates. It arrived on the 5th of April. And upon inquiring why this was not sent through the diplomatic channels, we were met with an unsatisfactory response. But we still went and fetched the note verbal directly from the ambassador's house, which is through diplomatic engagements, is almost unheard of. And upon receiving this note verbal and the court judgment, we then discover that this is actually all written in Arabic. This is late at night, and we had to then work to translate it so that we can provide an immediate update to the South Africans.
And understand the technicalities within that response. I want to get to that now. The court found that on the charge of money laundering, the crime in question is alleged to have been committed in the United Arab Emirates and in South Africa. And in terms of federal laws of the UAE, extradition can be denied because the United Arab Emirates has the jurisdiction to prosecute the crime there. Has the UAE indicated any intention of pursuing those charges on their end?
That's as good as it gets. That's the response that we got from the UAE. So sitting here right now, we don't know if they'll actually prosecute what they believe they have the jurisdiction to prosecute on. And this is an issue that we need to take up with them in our next engagement with them. But this is the type of engagements that we do have with them where we know you have to get further follow-ups, unclear communications, and that's what the judgment says. It says basically you can deny a country an extradition request if you have the authority to prosecute that matter. But so, sitting here right now, I cannot tell you whether these fugitives have been charged in the UAE based on the fact that the court itself has found that indeed it does seem like there's a violation of UAE laws.
Are they in custody in the UAE?
We have no information that they're in custody, but we believe that they may be now free since this extradition matter has been dispensed with in the courts.
So I don't think we'll talk about Article 17 of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption because we've spoken about that. Minister Lamola has spoken about that at length. We've got a number of clips from him speaking about that. And obviously, the department is going to follow up with the UAE to get clarity on that situation. Let's talk about the next steps. Because the department has indicated, Minister Lamola has indicated that they're going to appeal. A number of legal experts have told us, well, the likelihood of successfully appealing the decision, you know, it seems like a bit of a brick wall. So if that's the case, what are the other options on the table?
Well, the number of legal experts have not referred to the latest incident that has happened in the UAE where the government of Denmark was denied an extradition and they successfully appealed it in their courts. So there is precedent for this. It's not a thumbsuck at all.
And was that denial of that extradition request based on the same technicalities as our situation?
It's similar facts as we understand it. So it's an avenue that we believe is available to us. But even so, like you have invoked Section 17 or rather Article 17 of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, that also allows us to pursue an avenue at the International Court of Justice should there be no proper resolution of what we believe clearly here is an unjustified dispute on the part of the UAE.
Let's talk about the warrant of arrest and the charges. That was changed somewhere during the process. Analysts we've spoken to have said, well, that's unfortunately what opened the loophole and, you know, created the confusion where this technicality on which the request has been denied arose. What do you make of that?
Well, this happens all the time. So between requesting states, there's constantly an exchange of information. And at the time at which we went to the UAE and said, are we ready? Are we competent to go to a court of law? They reassured us that we have complied with all of the requirements of their law. So which means that we had reason to believe that our arrest warrants were competent. They understand the reason why the arrest warrant was changed, and this will be properly ventilated in the court. But clearly, this is not the case. So it's not uncommon for information to be changed before it appears before court. That is the whole point of mutual legal assistance, is to ensure that the requesting state, which is ourselves, is able to give its best foot forward to that requesting authority so that they're able to present the best case possible for an extradition matter. So it's definitely not unheard of. It happens a lot of times in matters of mutual legal assistance and also extradition matters where we constantly exchange information right up until we are required to present the matter to court. And we have that experience here in South African context as well. And that is why we often say the extradition process is actually a protracted process because it's a constant back and forth of ensuring that we comply with the domestic laws of another country. Sitting here, we don't know chapter and verse what the UAE authorities require sometimes, or what their own domestic laws entail. So
and because
really
there are language barriers as well to that.
And there are language barriers, and in addition, it's a completely different legal system. Whereas we have a common law system, they have a completely different legal system. A small example, for instance, is as you as a journalist would not be allowed to simply walk into a court in the UAE. That does not happen, and that's why I think one of the criticisms I've seen, which I think is unfortunate, is that people have said, how would you have not known that there's actually a court hearing? You don't know about a court hearing if you're not notified about it anywhere in the world. Other criticisms that we have seen is, did you actually know that they were in custody? I am yet to see any jurisdiction in the world that actually provides a picture of people who are in custody for an extradition request. We rely highly on the authority of the country from which we are requesting to say that indeed we are cooperating with you, we have these people in custody.
And to communicate that information.
And communicated with that. But also, in this instance, we had actually seen, which is actually unprecedented, the Minister of Justice from the UAE confirming through a statement that the Gupta brothers had been arraigned and they are in custody. We also saw the Dubai police issuing a statement confirming that the Gupta brothers had been arraigned and in custody. So to suggest that the South African government, the UAE authorities all colluded to invent this notion that the Gupta brothers are in custody, I think is a really unfortunate sentiment. But one does understand that we are operating in an environment where there's very little faith in what our government authorities do say. But I think when the facts are out there, we all have a duty to interact with them and internalize them and accept them for what they are.
Thank you very much. That was Justice Ministry spokesperson Chrispin Phiri, and I think certainly many South Africans will want to know in the near future whether the Gupta brothers are in fact still in custody or whether they are no longer even perhaps in the United Arab Emirates.